the rain. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. I'm going to have to talk a little bit louder tonight because the rain is falling very heavily on the roof. So welcome to the very first live in the Scrap Project Swap Group, which starts in October and carries on through for November, December, January, February and March. So thank you everybody for joining in with this 6-month swap session. I may not be able to see comments. I can see you're watching, but it is 6:30 and I am going to show you, yes, Lindsay Wood is watching, and I'm sure if you can comment just so that I can see you there, probably won't happen because it's the first time of going live in this group. I apologise for the rain. It's only just started and coming down heavily, so I'll talk a little bit louder so that you can hear me, hopefully. So if I start straight away, just in case it starts to rain heavily, so that you know the measurements. Now there is a template which I've just uploaded into the group. Bother, I missed that. I should think that was Lindsay saying we're commenting. But what you'll need to get together is 2 pieces of fabric, one for the outer and one for the lining, 7 inches square, and also a piece of either interfacing. I'm using the fusible fleece, which is a nice lightweight finish wadding that will give a little bit of body, which is 6.5 inches square. So ½ an inch all the way around smaller, and 2 7-inch squares of fabric for the outer and the lining. And this is what we will be making. It is, now have I got, what it could be, it is a glasses case. What it also could be is a rotary cutter holder. How about that? Slightly longer, but your rotary cutter would go in there very well. I meant to bring another pair of glasses, but I can't see if anybody is saying no, it's just watching. But it's to hold your glasses. How about that? And I told you it was going to be nice and simple. Don't usually use that word, but it is very, very straightforward and easy to make. So, let's put these back on, and then I'll be able to see what I'm doing. Lovely, I can see. So, as you can probably see, just a little heads up, we have only got stitching on the outside from the end of the curve and across the bottom. So, as I say, very, very straightforward. So the first thing I'm going to do is switch on my iron, which is slightly warm, and I'm going to fuse the back, or fuse the wadding onto my outer fabric. Now I'm going to use my darker fabric as my outer and the lighter one as the lining. You can do whatever you like. I will just get my little template as well. There we go. So, yeah, I know you're there, and I know, there we are. So we want to, because the interfacing or wadding, or you could use felt, a nice thin felt. I wouldn't use anything too bulky, because we're going to fold and stitch together. So what we're going to do first of all is lay our wadding in the centre of, on the reverse of our outer fabric, lay it on the centre. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to use this very gently because my iron will be, I'm first of all just going to give a little, put a little bit of heat in the centre, just so it fuses a little bit. It's just easier then when you pick it up and turn it over, it is held in place. If you've got a little bit of calico or a little bit of fabric that you don't particularly need, or even a handkerchief, just to put over the top, or your Vilene sheet, which a lot of you bought a few weeks ago. Pop that on the top so that you can press, and the heat then is going onto the fusible side, and we've now got our fusible fleece firmly attached to the wrong side of our outer fabric. Now we are going to flip it over. If you've got directional fabric, this one isn't, but if you have, make sure it's facing away from you. We're going to do a little curve around here. So my lining fabric, first of all, I've got little hearts, so I'm making sure they're the right way up, and I'm going to place that right sides together onto my outer fabric. Oh, the rain stopped. That is really good. So I'm looking for my pin cushion, and I'm just going to pop a pin just to hold that together, just there, and probably down here as well. Because we need to draw a curve. There is a curve on the template, but you can use whatever you can get hold of, whether it be a plate, a ribbon roll, but just something to, let's have a look. I just happen to have some half circles, so I'm just going to place that on the edge here, just seeing that whether that was the right one. I might even use a little bit smaller one. Yeah, that one there. So whatever you have, whether it be a circular, what have we got? Got nothing here. I could use my best press. If you want to have something, I'd have something a little bit larger base than that, just so that you can have a nice curved edge in that top right hand corner. And once you place that down, hopefully you'll draw a little line around there, just so that we have that corner to be rounded off. Now, either with then a rotary cutter or a pair of scissors, and these are the first ones I could pick up, and they're not very sharp at all, but I'm just going to cut around that curve and off to the edge. So no particular dimensions for how big it should be, but there we are. You can see there, it is just curved off at the corner. What we're going to do, we're going to stitch all the way around the outside, and we're going to leave a little gap at the bottom, probably between 2 and 3 inches. So I'm just using a regular stitch length of 2.5, and I'm going to start at this bottom corner, or not the bottom corner, I'm starting on this bottom edge, and I'm going to start probably a couple of inches away from that edge, and we will start stitching and reverse there, because that is where we're going to fold in to neaten it. So one more stitch there to get to our 1/4 inch seam allowance. And the reason the wadding is that little bit smaller is so that we haven't got wadding in the seams. It wouldn't be an absolute, an awful thing to have your wadding going all the way to the edge, but better and will stitch more easily on anybody's machine if you have slightly less wadding at the outer sides, and for when we fold it and stitch through those edges. So I'm back to the bottom edge, and we'll go a couple of inches along there, and we'll reverse and cut. So there I have left my little gap so that I can turn. So we will trim off these corner points. So there's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. And then around the curve, you can either clip into it, or you could use pinking shears. But my favourite technique is to trim away to about 1/8 inch. It takes longer to clip into that curve, but if you trim that away so that it is less than the 1/4 inch seam allowance. So next thing we're going to do is open that base, open the gap, get those bits out of the way, and turn the whole thing through that gap that we've left. And as I've got my fingers inside, I'm just going to roll my fingers around that curve just to push that out and into that corner just a little bit. So around that curve, and you can already see that's giving us a nice curve there. So just poke my finger into that bottom corner and this one also. So don't use scissors like I am, but having had a shift around today, I can't lay my hands on my bits and pieces, but never mind. So I'm just going to poke very gently into that corner so I get a fairly reasonable point. Similarly into this one, which is going to be along the top edge. Your top edge is the edge that the curve is on. So let's just push that around. I don't want to poke my scissors through there. And then down to this bottom corner here, just push that little bit out. And it should be done, it can be done quite easily because we've only got fabric. The wadding should be just approaching that edge. Okay, so that is looking nicely rounded there. So we're going to get our iron again. I told you this is going to be really simple and really quick. It will probably take you longer, no, still no comments, it will probably take you longer to actually cut your fabric. So now that I've got that ready, I'm just going to press around those edges there. And then at this bottom edge, I'm going to just fold those two pieces in together, like so. And we want that to be nice and neat and matching really well, but it is going to be on the inside, so you're not going to actually see if it doesn't match that well. But just give that a nice press. Now, as we're not going to top stitch around this top part, as long as we've given that a really good press, that is going to have a nice sharp finish around that curve and where we're going to fold and then stitch. So we're nearly finished. We are going to fold that over so that the outer fabric is on the outside. I am just going now, oh yes, that's what I thought. So what you may want to do, or what I did, where this gap is, we're not going to stitch it now. Sometimes it may not fold that well. Let's just have a look. So we're going to fold it like so, and that is going to be our glasses case. Now, doesn't look too, can you see where those layers fold there? So if you have to hand either any, say, fabric glue, you could pop the tiniest little bit along there, or like I have done here, I've got a little bit, and I know a lot of you have this, of the water-soluble tape. When we're putting zips in, quite often I will use this. So this is my double-sided tape, and I'm just going to lift that edge like so, and I'm just going to pop, I'm not going to lift that edge then, I'm just going to insert the edge on this tape into that edge. So I pop that in there, and then I'm going to just pull off the liner tape, so that leaves the sticky just there. So there's my tape gone, and then you can just fold that down, and that holds that beautifully in place, so that now when we fold this over and meet that corner, can you see how much nicer that is along here? I haven't stitched it, but that's what I'm going to do now. So we're going to line up very carefully that edge and that corner point there. So like, and then I'm just going to start stitching from here. So where the end of the curve comes, I'm going to start stitching there. And I'm going to stitch right on the edge. So just make sure that has come right over. Let's just bring that in just a little bit further. So I am on that edge there. And I'm going to start off, so you can pin if you'd like to, but just make sure this is all lined up down the bottom. And I'm going to start stitching, and I'll do 2 or 3 stitches and then reverse, because that's where your glasses or your rotary cutter or anything else you'd like to put in it is going to be, in and out. Much better that we've got a more secure part there, so we'll just reverse that stitch. Get to the bottom, and I'm stitching about what would I say, not even a 1/16 of an inch in, so just a little way in, come to the other side and reverse again, and that is it. So I can trim that little bit of thread just there. I will trim this little bit off there, and what I might even do now is just give that another little press just along this seam here, just to neaten that off, and press around the edges, and there we have our glasses case. So let's take off the glasses again, pop them in there, and they are nicely concealed. Or my rotary cutter, where have I put my rotary cutter? Just here, or rotary cutter in there. Any other thing that you would particularly like to have in there, but that is as simple as it gets. Curved edge, slots in there. So just a little recap, because here we are, 12 minutes into it, and I can't see any comments, but I have finished. Simple, simple, simple. So we started off with a 7-inch square of outer fabric, a 7-inch square of lining fabric, and a 6.5-inch square of fusible fleece. Could be felt, could be interfacing if you wanted to use G700. I use the fusible fleece because it gives a little bit of protection for whatever you've got in there. So it's not particularly thick, but it's got a little bit of body and soft. Soft but firm, if you like. And then all we did was trim off that curve at the top right hand corner. We made sure we placed the lining fabric right sides together with the outer fabric, and then we started on the bottom edge, stitched around but leaving about a 3-inch gap in the middle. We then trimmed off the corner points. I trimmed back that curve to about the 1/16 of an inch, turned it to the right side through the gap, pushed out all the curves and the corners. We then folded in the raw edges at the opening, and as I said, you could just press that very, very well, or as I did, I used a little bit of the double-sided fabric tape, the water-soluble one, just to hold it together, and then we stitched from the curve, the end of the curve, down to the bottom and across that bottom edge, reversing at the start and the beginning, just to make that nice and secure. So, very, very simple, as I said. So I hope you enjoy making this. Now, we have, I think, 87 members within the group. I have put on the post with the template, if you want to use the template, or just cut to size. But please make sure when you post these to your swap partner, Lindsay will send you the swap partner's address on the 25th of this month, which is just on 2021 Tuesday? Would it be Tuesday? I think it would. Today we're Wednesday, the 20th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, it is Monday. On Monday the 25th. Now, if you've got a quarter of an hour to spare, you can get this made ready to go in the post. Please, please, please use a large letter stamp. Can be second class, because the sooner you put it in the post, the more time it's got to get to your swap partner. Now, as I say, the large letter, this is deeper. I know it's fairly thin, but it is thicker than a standard stamp will take. I know some of you in the past have got away with a standard one, but please, please use a large letter stamp. Now, to know that it's a large letter stamp, it does have the word large actually written on the stamp. So if your stamp hasn't got the word large on it, it is not a large letter stamp. They've all got barcodes at the sides now, so it will be sussed if it hasn't got the right stamp on there. So it must be received by the 25th and hopefully the 24th of October. So it gives you a fair while, over 4 weeks, more than 4 weeks. And then on the 25th of October, on the strike of midnight, you can take a photograph of the swap that you've received and post it in this group. And when they've all come through, Lindsay very kindly pops them into an album which you can view at any time. But in that album, just like the other one, please don't like individual photographs, otherwise Lindsay's phone goes ping, 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 ping. But if you just like the whole album, have a look through by all means. Make these as many times as you like. Make to sell if you'd like to, but please don't post them anywhere because only the group here and not in the So Trisha Sews group or anywhere else. But by all means, if you're doing craft fairs this year, make some to sell, you know, nice and quick. You could do 4 of these in an hour, and 7-inch squares of fabric. It's not going to cost you too much, but pop a few pairs of glasses in them so that people can see what they are, and I'm sure it will be a starter to selling some larger items. So, that is our demo for tonight. It's the October swap. What I will say for those that all of you will be in the Sew with Trisha group, tomorrow evening I need to get ready for the Thrifty Thursday fabric sale. So I shall get some bits and pieces together, and I shall be on the So Totally Trisha page at 6:30 tomorrow evening. And then on Friday morning, I forgot to say yesterday, it is week 2 of the Patchwork for Absolute Beginners, or Absolute Beginners Patchwork. So we shall be cutting and stitching a few squares together. So if you'd like to join us there, you are more than welcome. It is free. Hopefully lasts for between an hour and an hour and a half, and you can always watch it later on if you're not free to watch at 10:30. So, the rain is just coming on yet again. Hopefully you've heard everything you needed to know for the very first swap. But before I lose my voice through having to talk very, very loudly, because I don't wear a microphone, it's just my voice, and we haven't got a fog through the lens today. I'll tell you more tomorrow about why that happened. But thank you very much for joining me. It's getting louder, but I'm going to bid you farewell. Enjoy your evening. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.